Hey everyone, welcome to What Matters. My name is Kailee Scales. I'm the Managing Director of Black Lives Matter Global Network, and I am joined today, very excited to be joined today by legend, activist, rapper, artist from the Boogie Down Bronx, Mysonne the General. How you doing? Mysonne the General is an independent hip-hop artist and criminal justice reform activist from the Bronx, whose work with impacted communities has made extraordinary contributions to stop violence. He is the founder of Raising Kings, the co-founder of Until Freedom with our girl Tamika Mallory, and most recently, Mysonne founded Kings Stop Killing Kings movement to honor the late Nipsey Hussle. Thank you, Mysonne, for joining us today. It's so exciting to have you here. Can't wait to get into some of these conversations and hear what's been going on. This is a very interesting time for Black people, for people everywhere. This time is, I keep hearing from everyone that this is different, this feels different. And I know that you've been on the ground in Minneapolis, where George Floyd was killed. You've been in Louisville, where Breonna Taylor was killed, Atlanta, where Ahmaud Arbery was killed, and now Rayshard. So I know that you've been right on the front lines, dealing with trauma, dealing with communities and families, and just being out there with our people. How's your spirit doing? Like, what? Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing, and tell us how your spirit is doing.
First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. You know, it's a pleasure to be on this platform with a fellow New Yorker. You know, so I appreciate that.
Queens.
But as far as, you know, it's my spirit and what I'm dealing with, it's a lot. You know, doing this work, we take on everybody's trauma along with our own, our daily trauma, and then we're faced with family members of lost ones. You know, constantly seeing shootings or beatings from ranging from children to elderly people, you know, and it's a lot especially when you take that on every day and you deal with everybody else's trauma and you deal with that firsthand on the front line. So I would be lying if I said that it wasn't a lot and that sometimes it's not really heavy, you know, but I understand this moment, I understand this time, I understand what it is that, you know, I was called to do as an activist. I don't think any of us just do this work because we want to. I think we do it because we have to. You know, I think it's so much other things that would be easier, more convenient, you know, and be more blissful. But, you know, we understand that we've been called to do this work. So with that being said, just the chain of events and probably the last, you know, there's this picture that they have of the beginning of the year where they have, I forgot his name. I'm thinking about it. I know he has a suit on. He says ready for New Year's, and then he does the song "This Is America," and you know he got his cigarette in his mouth. He got his rifle. It's just the change from 3 months to where we are. Like nobody could have known that 2020 was going to be this type of a year. So, you know, just understanding that and dealing with the pandemic, right, you know, the epidemic, to where we are now, it's just, I've went through so many different levels of trauma, anger, fear, not knowing, confusion, you know, just going through different things, just trying to stay stable, man. Just trying to keep your mind stable in these times. Yeah. And it's very hard, you know. Yeah. And I deal with people in marginalized communities, people who are at the highest risks, who are the poorest every day, you know, and it's a lot. It's really a lot. But, you know, by the grace of God, I'm still here. I still have my health. I still can smile sometimes. You know, my family and everyone's in good health and good spirits, and I'm still fighting a good fight.
Yeah, it's important. And it's like you were saying, like there's so many mixed emotions happening right now. I remember, first of all, you know, May was horrifying. Like there was just like we just had was dealing with so much, not just being in the house and knowing that our family members are dying. We're dying disproportionately with COVID and dealing with that, and knowing we gotta go to work, knowing that not everybody can stay home and quarantine. Like folks have to be out there and do so. We're dealing with that, and then we're watching God and we're watching Breonna, and then. And it was just like, I know for me on that day, on May 25th, I was just like, I can't. Like, it was incredible because it was just so much, you watched or you heard about this video and you saw how cavalier. And I just remember thinking, are you not afraid? Did you not just know that all this, are we not making, you're not hearing or saying, stop killing us? Like, you're kidding. And it was just this feeling of incredible sadness that I can't even describe. But what has happened since then, watching, this unprecedented, what feels like numbers of people just feeling the same way. Like, no, not this. I would not watch a man be reunited with the spirit of his dead mother on camera. I'm not going to see that. No. And it was just really incredible to watch so many people feeling that same way. And so when you were on the ground, did you sense anything different? Did people feel like, was the anger palpable? Did it feel different than some of the other actions and demonstrations that you may have been a part of?
Oh, it's definitely different. There's an invigorating spirit. The youth. I say this a lot, and I've been saying a lot lately, that these youth have no fear, and they have resurged me. They have given me an energy that, sometimes in this work, sometimes it feels like you take one step forward to take 5 steps back. You think you got something going, and then something worse happens. Legislation that you want to get passed gets passed, and then they put some more laws that's even worse. So it's just like, it's always push and pull with this. And sometimes you just get a little tired, but you keep fighting.
Right.
But these youth on the ground, I was, the way that it happened for me is on Memorial Day, we were traveling to Kentucky for Breonna Taylor. We had a memorial for her. We had a wreath. We had our family out there, and then we did an action the next day. So we went down there to celebrate Memorial Day with her family. After we leave her memorial, we headed to Indianapolis, where there had been 3 police killings in less than 24 hours. So we had actually had one of our board chair had a personal relationship with one of the mothers whose son was killed. So we went down there to meet with her. And during that meeting, she told us about the other 2. I know people have seen Sean Reed, the young man who was in the car, and the police chased him and shot him as he was running away in his back, and told him, this looked like it's going to be a closed casket. I heard that they actually shot the man's eyes out. That was something that I didn't even know. It's crazy to me. That, anyway, then we found out that another woman had been ran over by the police, a pregnant one. Police had ran her over in the car and killed her. So all this is happening. And while we're in Indianapolis getting all this, we see somebody is DMing us about George Floyd. And immediately when we seen that video, like I still have yet to watch the whole video.
Right.
I just can't do it. Right. The first 2 to 3 minutes was just too much for me. Just as the people kept saying, yo, you kill him, you don't hear him, and he's screaming, yo, I can't breathe. He's screaming for his mother. It was too much for me. I didn't even get to the part where he lost his life. Just the fact, seeing the way he was suffering was just too much for me to watch. So while we were in Indianapolis, we looked and said, where's this at? And we found out it was in Minneapolis. And we said, you know what? We're driving to Minneapolis. And we drove 10 hours overnight. We got there at about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, the day after, on Tuesday morning. And When we got there, the police station was building this fence around the police station.
Right.
And because they knew people were coming to protest. And by the end of that day, it was just so many people protesting, and the energy. And, you know, people could say what they want. I know there was looting happening, but I know the way that the looting started in Minneapolis. You know, police officers started shooting rubber bullets and tear gas at nonviolent protesters. And when their eyes started burning, they started running into places to try to get anything, water. And the people on the target was like, no, we can't help you. And then next thing you know, everybody just ran in there and they started getting water and milk to clean out the tear gas out your eyes. And then it turned into something else because they weren't willing to, you know, help the people clear the tear gas out their eyes. So, but prior to that, there wasn't any looting. And even after the looting, there was such a level of community. There was such a level of unity out there. Like, whatever people were taking out the store, they created whole tents and tables, and they were giving it away to people who might have needed things. It wasn't like, yo, we just trying to steal. No, people, do you need this? Do you need these things? And people were giving it. It was just a different feeling. There were people singing songs. They were singing gospel songs. You know, they were united. It was people understood that this time was something different. Like, this was like, it was like we fed up, and we found all our people. People always ask about marching and why I march, and marching doesn't work. And I say, listen, I don't know how many marches you've been to, and I don't know how many you stayed to see the end result of. Yeah. But when you march, you identify your allies. You sit around with people who have the same wants and, you know, who have the same goals as you want. They want to see the same thing you want. You look them in the eyes, and they look you in the eyes, and there's a level of unity like you've never seen anything. And in this particular time, as I went while I was in Minneapolis, the unification there was just phenomenal. It's just that there was no race that wasn't there. There was no creed that wasn't there, no religion. Everyone was present, and it wasn't uniformity, it was unity. You know, we don't have to all think the same. We don't have to all believe in all the same things, but we just have to believe that justice and equality is possible. So it was phenomenal for me.
That you said it. It's really important for us to, I feel like this moment has united us under that fact. Like, this is wrong. So I feel like people took a look at that video or heard about it. Their children have heard about it. And people are just like allies. Black people are used to it, right? Like, we know this happens. It's not news. But I feel like this is different because the world felt like other people who may not have felt this before are thinking, how can I not see this again? I'm not trying to see this again. This is traumatic. This is horrific. This is brutality in a way that is inconceivable. How can I not see this again? This is wrong. And I feel like that is a bit of the spirit of what we are seeing right now. And you're right, like, people are talking about, you know, looting, and, you know, we do not value material possessions over human lives.
Exactly.
That's it. We do not value material possessions over human lives. So we should not allow ourselves to be distracted by the noise. We should stay focused, stay the course, and remember, we are here for justice.
That's right.
Justice is messy, and remember that we don't advocate violence.
Never. Because the bottom line is, you can't commit violence against brick and mortar. There's no way to be violent to brick and mortar. So that's it. So we preach. I say all the time, when we go out there, we scream no justice, no peace. We say that every day. We say that, no justice, no peace. So if that's not what you actually meant, right, then don't say it. But this is what we've said. We haven't got justice, so it can't be no peace. And we're not talking about violence, but we're going to let you know peace is a completely different than violence. Peace means that you get to go to bed quietly and calmly, and everything's at ease, and you know everything that's going to happen. No, we're marching. There's protests. It's not a parade. You don't get to tell us where we march. You don't get to tell us how long we stay outside. You don't get to control anything. You lost that.
Not to be angry.
Nah, you don't get to tell us that. Nope. We was trying to we gave you the opportunity. We wanted to adhere to what you wanted us to.
Yeah. people always are surprised, like BLM protests, like they're like block parties, right? Like, like they're, like you said, there's singing, there's dancing, there's call outs. It's beautiful. It's community, it's spirit, it's joining in with your allies to fight for the thing that we deserve and need, because we've tried all the other things. And so now we're in these streets. And people are surprised, and they're like, the protest is so peaceful. I just want to remind folks of what you just said a minute ago. Who brings the rubber bullets? Who brings the tear gas? Who brings the batons?
Yeah.
Protesters? Because I see them with water bottles.
That's right.
So who moves people out of the way with force and shields and knocks people down? Who does that? The protesters?
That's right.
So who brings violence to protest? I'll leave it at that.
That's it.
We've seen the images. We know. So this is what we have to remember. Number one, we do not value property over human lives. Number two, it's hard to have a peaceful protest when you're faced with rubber bullets and you're faced with tear gas and you're faced with baton and you're beaten for your human right. You're beaten for being angry and for being in community with people who are suffering in the same way you are. That's hard. It's hard.
Very hard.
Anyway, so the other thing I want to talk to you about is some of your experiences. So as we were saying, a lot of people this is the first time that their eyes have been opened to the brutality of police in Black communities, and they're shocked by it. But you've talked about how the criminal justice system unfairly targets Black people. You've said that people are incarcerated for $5 crimes while their white counterparts are getting probation. Can you talk a little bit about the experience, Black experience with criminal justice and the police force?
Oh, well, I can talk a lot about that. I did 7 years for a crime that amounted to $100. Never had any prior record. And somebody said I robbed them for $25, and somebody said I robbed them for $50. Nobody was harmed. And even though I never robbed the people anyway, even if I had robbed, which I did, the 7 to 14 years at 21 years old for a nonviolent crime with someone who had no record, who was going to school, who was, who had a record deal about to go off, it didn't make sense. And it still doesn't. And I know that my white counterpart would have never went to prison for that. And that's, it disproportionately affects us. Being incarcerated, I watched 17 and 18-year-old boys coming in there with 10 and 12 years for things that because they didn't have lawyers, they didn't understand the law. They didn't have money to pay their way out of the legal system. That's what's so unfortunate and so corrupt. If you have money, then you can buy your level of justice. Money creates the level of justice that you can get. And the lawyers will blatantly tell you, you pay me this amount, I can get you this. Right. Not whether you did this and that, but pay me this amount and I can get this done. So that means that that justice is for sale. And therefore, if it's for sale, then it's not equal. Therefore, it is not created equal. And then those who can't pay for it won't get it. And that's what the reality is in our communities. A lot of us don't have the education to know about the laws, and other of us don't have the money to be able to pay their ways out into freedom. So this is what we're faced with every day. So when you look at this situation and you look at the uprising of our people, you look at the rising to the top, I call it the cherry on the cake. It started out with the slave master, then it was the overseer, then it's the police officer, and then the cherry on the cake is when you actually see what they've done. And they've been doing this at every level for us, and it's just to the point where we're just tired. That's right. We can trace this back so far. And it's just no matter what uniform they put on, there's always them hurting, killing us, and locking us up at disproportionate rates.
That's right. Right. Yeah, and so now that we know this, hopefully the world has seen this. We're out here in these streets. We could be out in these streets. I love being around people and just fighting the fight. But we're gonna come. People are gonna come inside, and what happens next? Like, how do we make sure that this sticks? Because as a lot of people are saying, it's different, it feels different, there's more people involved. What now? How do people know that what happened outside is working? And how do people know what to do when they come back in the house to keep it going? What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna say what my brother Killer Mike says. We got to plan, strategize, and mobilize. You know, we've seen what's going on. Now we have a plan. We have the world's attention, and that's what Until Freedom really wants to do. We want to sit there and create a plan. We've come up with a plan, and we mobilize. And I think at this point, we have the eyes and ears of not only our people, but all those people who are just want justice. You know, and so we have to galvanize all those people. We have to galvanize them on one idea, and it's just justice and equality. You know, because I believe that we have enough people that actually want that, to where we can start to make some real change. You know, when we talk about defunding the police, people are, oh, you need the police. You know, it's so hard for us to imagine that we don't need police. It's so, because it's something that we've been taught. We've been taught that violence is inevitable, that crime is inevitable, and it's only inevitable. It's only inevitable where there's poverty. It's only inevitable. You don't see the crime rates outside of America. You know, we have the highest population, and we're supposed to be the land of the free. We have the highest prison population in the world. There are other populations where they have very few police officers. They have very few. The crime rate is so low. So if you start to defund police and you start to put resources into communities, you start to make sure that people have proper jobs. You start to make sure that these kids are properly educated into building wealth and not just working for somebody where they working from, you know, for pennies on a dollar and working 9 to 5 and they just seeing their life just pass before their face. You start to create sustainable income. You start to create careers for our youth. You start to create programs that channel their energy, and you put those things in our communities, you will see that crime won't be rampant. You will see that because anywhere there's not poverty, the crime level is low. So let's try to eliminate poverty. But you know why America, that doesn't work for America? Because it's a capitalist society, and it has to be a lower class. So we have to figure out, so what we have to do is figure out how we dismantle capitalism. And that's what we have to do. Us as the people who want justice have to understand that in order for justice to be free, to actually happen in America, we have to dismantle capitalism, because that is the foundation for why all these things. There has to be a lower class for capitalism to exist. It has to be. You know, somebody has to be the bottom feeder. The people who make billions of dollars have to make it off of somebody else's back. So this is what we're dealing with. So since we understand that, you know, this inequity happens because there's some people who have way too much and there's some people who have absolutely nothing. And their poverty actually equals violence. So we have to figure out, how do we eliminate poverty? We have to sit down together and figure out, how do we rebuild these communities and we transfer them into something that looks like the beloved community. And then we can start to move back on police. We can start to, you know, police our own communities. I think that's what we should be moving forward. There's a lot of us, quote unquote, OGs who've been in these communities our whole lives, who have relationships with these young kids who they look up to because we have passed just like them, who we've been through the same things they've been through, and they respect us. We can stop the crime in the neighborhoods if we had something to fund these kids. If we had, you know, we had corporations and operations to where we could give these kids money to do something that's positive. You know, we could definitely stop crime and violence in our community. So I think that those are things that are next steps for us. Those are things that are next steps for me. I think we all should be looking about, how do we rebuild our communities? Yeah. Our goal should not be to leave the hood, because everybody say, I'm trying to get out the hood. No, it's to build the hood. It's rebuild the hood. You know, let's put the neighbor back in the hood. Because when we started just calling it the hood, we forgot about the neighbor. You know, so when we start to call it the neighborhood again, then we start to see ourselves as one, as unified, as one, and the same thing for our brothers and the person who lives next door to us as we want for ourselves. You know, if I'd have had a vision of a lawyer or a doctor who lived next door to me, or somebody who owned a business, you know, if I would have seen that every day, that's what I would have grew into. That's what I would aspire to be. But my first vision of success was a drug dealer who had a BMW who was, you know, outside, who had all the girls and all the jewelry that I wanted. So if we change that narrative and we show a different vision of success, then the kids will aspire to be something different. So
it's true. And I think that you hit it. Like, you know, we're so focused on this divestment word. And Sister Tamika said earlier today, it's just like, why are we so afraid to number one of that word? Because divestment has been happening in our communities since the beginning.
Yes,
Combination of people to become slaves so that other folks can become rich. We have been divested in continuously for centuries.
That's right.
So what is required now is a reinvestment in our communities, is to purposefully turn away from the divestment, fix it, literally fix it.
That's right.
Reinvest and make up for the many, many years of divestment and reinvest in the communities. And where does that money come from, you might ask? Perhaps from a broken system that was built to disproportionately target us and beat and maim us because of its roots in slave catching, and a system that was built to kill us. Maybe divest of all of that and provide those resources, as you so eloquently stated, in those communities where in some cities, if you take simply 5% out of the police budget, you could double the housing budget. And so it's really about, it's very simple. People are like, oh my God, it's so complicated. It's quite simple. It's really just repairing centuries of damage that has been done to a community for no reason, in order to make other people rich, in order for us to be able to thrive. And it's not weird, as you said, it's not weird. It's not like there's all this violence. Like, think, you know what we're talking about? We're talking about like white suburbs, like, you know, less cops, better schools.
What happens?
Simple. We could talk about that all day, but I want to talk to you a bit about your children's book. So I know you have kids, and I'd love to hear, we'd all love to hear a little bit about, you know, what you teach your sons, and a bit about your children's book. I know my rights.
My children's book, shout out to my publisher, co-publisher, and partner, McBride Stories. It's a book. It's crazy how where we are now, and this book is present, right? So early January, I met this guy through a mutual friend. One of my friends called me and said, this guy wants to do a book with you. He wants to meet you. He wants me to connect you. So I'm like, I tell her, yeah, give him my number. He calls me, hey, let's meet up. You know, I got an idea. So we meet. We go to Sylvia's restaurant in Harlem, and we sitting there and we talking. He's like, yo, I think you should do a book about knowing your rights, about the Constitution. So I'm like, he said, for kids. And it's like, so I'm like, he said, just break down like the first 10 amendments of the Constitution for kids, because it's like what we're going through. A lot of these kids don't even know their rights. You see these kids getting pulled over. You're seeing people getting stopped in cars, and people just don't even know their rights no more. So I think if we start educating kids young, and I was like, this really makes sense. He said, I think you're the person to do it. I think, you know, what it is that you represent, and you know how you on the front lines doing this work. And especially being an artist, just give it some level of like rhyme scheme with it, along with it, so that it just has another appeal. I was like, okay, you know, I'm like, this is something I could do, man. And we left. We were about to leave, and they thought we was trying to skip out on the bill. It was the weirdest thing. We paid, but somehow it didn't go through. They said, hey, excuse me, came back, and we laugh about that all the time. Man, they actually thought we was gonna skip out the bill, and we feel like this book is going to be something that's historical that we're going to be able to write about and say that was one of our things. But the book for me is really personal. If you look on the front cover, these three. This is my oldest son. This is my youngest son, and this is my middle son. So there's Cameron, Keston, and Mysonne, and this is me. So these are actually my kids that I wanted to. So the animation is so beautiful. I love the pictures because they look cartoonish, but they give you like this real feel. Right? I don't know what it is. They're very cartoonish, beautiful, but it still gives like very colorful and it's full. And I really feel like this picture looks more like me than I actually do sometimes. But, you know what I'm saying? So
I love it. I need that book.
Yeah, it's a dope book. It's built for it's made for children from like 3rd grade up, but it's such a family book. There's a lot of people I've gotten the book and said that they've sat down with their kids and they've learned things that they didn't know about the amendments, and the kids are into it. They read it, they're quizzing their kids. It's really like a family book, and I'm so proud of it. We was #1 on Amazon for a couple of weeks. It's been a good feeling, man, to see it received the way it is. So many different people have reached out to me, celebrities, athletes, like, yo, this book is necessary. It's dope, man. I appreciate what you did with this book, man. So it's something that you can. It's on Amazon right now. You can go order it. It's called I Know My Rights, Bill of Rights. Go order it on Amazon. Get your copy. You won't be disappointed. I'm telling you, it's a family book. The kids are gonna love it. And I'm proud of it.
Oh, that's great. Yes, with the king and the young kings on the cover. Yes, love it.
Yes.
So we can queue up our first question, because I want you to hear this from a caller, and then we can answer. Our team will make it.
Hi, my name is Claire Stakely. I'm calling from Los Angeles. I'm kind of new to protesting, and I was just wondering, now that we're living in a pandemic and fighting for justice with a disease untamed that we don't know very much about, I was wondering my son's thoughts on protesting in the pandemic, and if you should quarantine between protests or just try to restrict your activities in school. I tried to get tested, so did my friends, but they're still prioritizing people with symptoms, so it's really not possible, it seems, for us to get a test anytime soon. Thank you, and I hope I get to hear your response.
Yeah, so protesting in the pandemic, essentially. Tips, ideas.
So tips for me, there was a lot of debate, before we did our first protest. My first protest during the pandemic was the governor and the mayor had suspended our right to protest. Mm-hmm. And during the pandemic, they were in New York. It was a lot of places, but in New York, there was an almost overwhelming amount of abuse for social distancing in only our communities. Mm-hmm. If you went to the Bronx, in Harlem, in Brooklyn, they were beating the crap out of people. Nightsticks, jumping on them, beating them, macing them, everything. You went downtown, for social distance, they was handing out masks. Yeah. So the way that they were handling it was so crazy. And when we said something about it, they told us they forbid us to protest. They suspended our First Amendment rights. And we had to sit down as a team and say, should we be outside? We were all social distancing. It was probably like a month and a half, 2 months into quarantine. And we made a decision that, I'm not going to let you kill my brothers outside while I stay in the house. And I feel like being an activist, you're an essential worker. The same way that the essential workers had to go to the hospital, the people had to go to stores. Being an activist, I'm an essential worker. So that was something that I had to see necessary to do. And I tried to keep myself as healthy. I tried to quarantine as much. I tried to, utilize my mask. I did all the things necessary, but I had to be outside. I had to be out there. And there was a lot of people that felt so. But as some people, you don't have to. There are so many ways to participate in the movement. And if you're not comfortable going outside, if you don't feel like, this pandemic is something, if you don't feel like, if you have pre-existing health issues, if you're elderly, if you have, breathing issues already, then, I would advise that you take the necessary precautions. Make sure that you social distance, make sure that you do the necessary things. As we reacclimate into society, you have to do those things anyway. So I think if you decide that you protest, just make sure that you're doing everything necessary. The same way that you would in a normal day. You don't have to be, confined in a protest. You can keep your distance. You can make sure you have your mask on. So, there's so many ways. And if you feel like you're going to be around someone who may be at risk or are higher at risk. You know, you might want to quarantine away from that person. You might want to stay away from your elderly grandmother or aunts. Or, you know, might want to stay against someone who has immunocompromised. You know, those are things you might want to do. You might want to quarantine away from them. So, you know, I think this is best. And if you can, get tested. If there's so many things that you can do, so much that's unknown, like you said, about COVID-19. Only thing we can do is the best we can. You know, we have to, at some point, we have to, like, be essential. There are jobs that are essential, and I have to be on the front line. So the only thing I can do is the best I can do, and I just hope that you do the best that you can do.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I like what you said. Like, you don't have to be out there, but if you are, be careful. I'm out there with my mask on, trying to stay away from people, but still needing to feel that community, to feel in this moment.
That's right.
That closeness. So I understand. Thanks for that. Okay, next question from the second caller.
Hello, my name is Walter. I'm calling from Long Branch, New Jersey. We would like to know if your artist would be interested in petitioning to have a statue of Christopher Columbus removed from the center of town. Christopher Columbus is a master, and he was the leader of he gave birth to the African-American slave trade. And I believe that any statues resembling that man should be removed.
So this is happening all over the country right now. People are just tearing down these statues. So I think it's a very interesting question to think about, you know, what do these symbols of white supremacy mean? How damaging are they? We heard about the Confederate flag coming down in NASCAR. Like, what is this? What do you think about it?
So I say that they should all go there. You know, I think the reality is there's a history that we don't, you know, if America's history is something that we owe it. They say until the fox tells a story, the lion will always be the winner. You know, you always hear. So the bottom line is America has told the story of the slave owner since its beginning. You know, they haven't told about those who revolted. They haven't told about the brave people who decided not to die. You know, there's no Nat Turner. We don't have Nat Turner statues anywhere. You know, we don't have Marcus Garvey statues all around. Like, these are things that we need to be having, celebrating those. We need to have, you know, Harriet Tubman statues. These are things that we need to show those who, despite being oppressed, still fought. Not those who were oppressing us. You know, they say, they made an example. They said you don't see any statues of the Nazis in Germany. You just don't see them. You see the people. They have all of the people who passed away, the people who fought against them. So I think America, there's a reckoning. You know, we're at a stage now where it's gonna change. You know, it's just like when you know, when I watched the women's wave change, there's a reckoning. You know, men had to be uncomfortable for a little while. You have to be uncomfortable because it's about women. Patriarchy has controlled the world for so long. We've been used to hearing and everything and being about men, and then you're gonna have to listen to it being about women for as much time as we've heard about it being about. So it's a reckoning, you know. So it's gonna make people uncomfortable because all of the history that you've heard and you believed and you've glorified because you profited off of it is not going to be great anymore. There's going to be a new history. There's going to be new stories told. And, you know, those of us who have been oppressed for years are going to be people who are being celebrated. And it's going to happen because that's just how it's supposed to be, you know. And America, as we know it, it can't remain the same. There's just no way that it can go back to what it was because everybody is aware that what it was wrong.
That's right. Yes. Say it. Tell it. Okay, so our last question, queued up, question number 3.
Hey, my name is Suzanne Michelle. I'm calling from Montreal. I know this is not really a popular thing to say, but I want to ask, how do we make sure that we don't overplay our hand and go too far? I know that's not popular, but I do want to make sure that there is some discussion about this in the BLM movement. we've got to be careful not to alienate, core constituencies. I don't want to sound too timid, but at the same time, a concern of mine that you can make some growth, but I also feel that we have to be conscious of the way I would put it, of just not overplaying our hand. And
yeah. So I hear that question quite a bit, actually, in this moment, just about, and I think it kind of alludes kind of to what you were just saying about people discomfort and these conversations in this moment that are just like, oh, everything's moving so fast. And I would love to hear your thoughts about moving too fast or overplaying our hand in this moment.
Well, I think we've had hands overplayed on us for far too long. We've sat back and we've dealt with it, and we've screamed, and we've cried, and we've dealt with being oppressed. If overplaying our hand is asking for equity and equality, then understand what we've been dealing with. See, if you think that us asking just to be equal is overplaying our hand, demanding, not asking no more, us demanding equality, us talking about what's been wrong for us for hundreds and thousands of years in this country, us actually saying what's been going wrong for us, actually saying that now we need to have an equal playing field, is us overplaying our hand. Then maybe, I don't know what to tell you. We're not going to not overplay our hand anymore. We're going to play the hand that we deserve. We got, right now, we got 4 aces, and we got all the suits, and we playing spades. We about to run a Boston. They've been running Bostons on us for years, and we've sat back and taken, and not equity. They didn't take equity. They had us at the lower class. They were comfortable. People have been comfortable with profiting off our demise. They've been comfortable with living on our backs. They've been comfortable with watching us die, watching us starve. And now you're uncomfortable because we're telling you that we don't want to do that anymore. So if you think that's overplaying our hand, I don't know what to tell you, because I don't even think we actually started playing our hand.
No, we underplayed.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think we've even started playing our hands. So those who might be turned off by it, that's part of life. Sometimes everybody ain't going to be happy. But those who understand the moment we're in and understand the reality where we're in, they understand that this was a long time coming, and it's here. And I think our people have woken up. We have allies who have woken up, people who just believe in justice and equality, who understand what it's supposed to be, have woken up. There's no more denying what, we said before, people used to hide from the truth. Now the truth is hiding from people. They used to hide the truth from people. Now people is hiding from the truth.
Right.
So if you still hiding from the truth, that's on you, man. But we ain't going to stop telling it.
And also, this is not really a new conversation in the movement space. Like, if this is a question of overplaying our hand, that been happened. Like, played.
We ain't had no. That hadn't been over.
This is not a different conversation for movement. This is the same conversation that we've been having. People ask all the time, like, where'd BLM go? And BLM's been here since 2013, never left, never moved, said the same thing. It's just, it feels different because people are listening now.
That's it.
The message doesn't change. The message is now on your ear. The window is open. We're going to push down the door. The window's open and we're going to tenderly bring everyone through. The message is here. It's the same. We hope that you find it accessible and that you understand, ask questions, search, figure it out, look within, have moments of individual thoughts and assessments of how you're looking at these issues now. But does the messaging change? No. The message.
I don't believe it's changed at all. I just believe the fact y'all took the little things out your ears now. We done took the things out, the plugs out your ears.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, we've taken a lot of your time. I want to know if you have any final things that you want to leave with this group of folks. Thank you so much for being here. Any final words?
I want to say thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and the struggle continues, man. We have a long way to go. You know, we're seeing progress. We're seeing that like you said, people are actually starting to listen to the words we've been saying in this movement. And, you know, and I'm optimistic. You know, I haven't been very optimistic in a while, but I'm optimistic after seeing for over 3 weeks of us actually protesting daily, every day, somewhere around this world. People are saying that they're just not comfortable. You know, so I don't think I think you can't govern the people the way they don't want to be governed. You know, that's just the bottom line. And the people are saying that the government no longer fits the needs of the people. They need something different. You know, and I think we on this front line who've been in this movement for all these years know exactly what that something different is. And, you know, it's just about us providing that, and us all getting on the same board, no matter what organization, no matter what denomination, no matter what you believe or don't believe, but you have to believe that justice and equality is possible, and we're gonna get what we're supposed to get.
Thank you so much. We have to stay vigilant, and we have to prioritize healing, because this work is not easy. We just started. And
That's right.
of course, this is a marathon. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having me. General from New York. This is just a joy and a pleasure, and you drop all the knowledge, and we really appreciate your generosity, your spirit, being out there fighting for Black people, loving Black people. Thank you so much for this time that you've given us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay. We will talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.